views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Daren, Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough, as well as across New York City. Coming up straight up on the show, we deal with the issue of the holidays. It can be a rough time to navigate during this season. We'll talk about holiday depression and anxiety and how we can help you to overcome that. And then a little bit later on in the show, we'll talk about how a child welfare agency is providing healthcare services to children and families through the COVID-19 pandemic. And then we'll talk about animal safety during the holiday season and how you yourself can actually protect your pet. And then we're going to talk about Bronx Community College's Cybersecurity and Networking Technology program and how to potentially land a job in this growing field. And then finally, we'll learn about an organization delivering social services to thousands of vulnerable New York City children and families aimed at breaking the cycle of poverty. So we encourage you, stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone, and welcome to Open. I'm your host, Daren Jaime. Today is Wednesday, December 23rd, and you're watching Open, a live and interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We encourage you to stay connected to us on our social media platforms at BronxNet TV, and then also on our website at bronxnet.org. Well, a lot has certainly gone on in New York City throughout the course of the past week. Don't have the time to take you through everything. We can take you through a few things with our Bronx updates. We start with education news. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio is reshaping public education across New York City, particularly in the area of middle and high school admissions and the process for the next coming year. Well, the mayor says he's announced a one-year pause on middle school screens and the complete elimination of geographic priority for high school admissions over the next 2 years. The mayor also stated the admissions process will expand diversity planning to all 32 districts over the next 4 years and open up grant applications to 5 more districts this year. In other news, SN healthcare providers and Fidelis Care, as well as Rethink Food, are actually providing meals and rapid COVID-19 testing free to Bronxites. Our Bronxnet reporter, Kibin Aline, brings us the details of this impactful story.
Health insurance provider Fidelis Care and nonprofit Rethink Food join SN Healthcare on 138th Street to offer free meals to Bronxites. With a focus on providing support to residents of the Bronx, Director of Marketing for Fidelis Care, Joanie Mora, explains their goal with their meal distributions.
The idea is to prepare meals for the community. As you are aware of, this pandemic has come with a hit and a lot of families are experiencing food insecurity.
Combating the issue of food insecurity facing many communities in New York, Rethink Food says they aim to develop practical models for distributing meals in an effort to nourish healthy and thriving communities.
Our organization really cares about giving people meals that are nutritionally dense, in particular people who are food insecure.
Director of External Relations for the nonprofit, Elizabeth Peralta, believes the collaboration between both health organizations and Rethink Foods was necessary for the Bronx.
A lot of time when we think about food insecurity, we forget that that has a lot to do with medical insecurity and a lot of different other insecurities. So at Rethink, our desire is to help bridge that gap so that people have less to worry about.
In addition to offering free meals provided by restaurants Mott Haven Bar and Grill and Taste So Good, Bronxites were given the opportunity to get tested for COVID-19, courtesy of Essen Healthcare. Essen Healthcare remains one of the first mobile testing operations in the Bronx and has serviced over 70,000 patients. They're now stretching their efforts towards helping the Bronx with quality meals through more programming.
We don't want this to be a one-time. We also have our health home program that can help all of the Bronx residents that want to help with establishing them with a connection to have resources and access to food long-term.
The trio will continue to host their meal distributions every Monday for the rest of December. To learn more, visit their social media links below. Reporting for BronxNet, Kib and Aline.
And thank you, Kibben. And that's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We encourage you to stay with us. We got a full show here on Open. Don't go anywhere. Open returns right after this. And welcome back. With Christmas fast approaching and the COVID-19 cases continuing to rise, celebrating the holidays this time of year could be a little bit different compared to previous years due to the social isolation, the stress, but most of all, the uncertainty that's been caused by this pandemic. Many people experience symptoms of depression as well as anxiety during December, which have been known to be called the holiday blues. A person could also be experiencing a type of depression, which is known as seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. Now, the question is, how can one navigate through these things, particularly at this time of year and uncertain times? Joining us to share a little bit more and give us some details and insight is the founder and president of Scudder Intervention Services Foundation, Brett Scudder, and we're thankful to be joined with him. And Brett, good to have you.
Good morning, my brother. Good morning. And thank you for being here. Thank you for the opportunity.
No, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to take the time to really talk to you, because it is a critical time as we are getting ready for our holiday show, right? We're here and we're preparing to enter into this holiday season. But as I share with many people, that the holidays are a time for happiness on one side of the aisle, and then on the other side, you could have a lot of depression and grief. And so for people who aren't doing too well and have this COVID-19 fatigue, give us some insight into how do we deal with these things called the holiday blues?
Well, I got to tell you, my brother, this year is so different on every level. And I mean it in every sense of the word. We have COVID, which is really the crisis we're facing right now. And normally what would have been a holiday for everyone. Thanksgiving, Christmas of gathering and getting together. And now we're socially distanced, we're isolated, the fear factor. There are so many variables that we have to factor in this year, and it's driving people's anxiety, depression, and so many ways. So here's the first thing people need to understand: it's okay to feel the way that you're feeling. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, depressed, and just feeling a sense of being overwhelmed. It's okay. Don't let anyone tell you that you should not feel that way, because if you feel that way, it's okay. If you are feeling that way, please reach out for help. There are a number of places or even people in your family you should just be talking with about how you're feeling. Our biggest message here and in the mental health field is for people to just talk about how they're feeling and know that it's okay to be feeling that way, because we have never experienced in our lifetime, many of us, what we're going through right now and the uncertainty of what's to come. And so we want people to understand that it is okay to just say, I'm not feeling okay today. I'm stressed out. I'm overwhelmed, and express what those feelings are. The other side of that, too, is males are always locked down or afraid to share their emotions, especially when unnormal circumstances. So we got to understand that we have to break the mold right now as to how males are even dealing with this pandemic and this time of, a lot of pressure on them as well, but there's no outlet for them as well. So let's start with just having the conversation
Right.
with
And
each
um,
other and anywhere.
yeah, and talk about having that conversation. I think you can better understand when you know what a person is really dealing with and going through. And so we put out in the beginning of the segment talking about seasonal affective disorder. Some people call it being sad, right? So how does a person identify an individual who may be going through seasonal affective disorder, and how is it classified?
Well, so here's the thing, and a reason why I said what I said the way that I said it is because sometimes when we're looking for things, we may miss what's really happening, and so a lot of times people are feeling, the seasonal effect of how it's affecting them, but don't know how to express it. And if they even express it, may not be the way that people may catch on to. What has been very successful is not to try to identify what seasonal affective disorder is, but just letting people know that in this season, in this time, everyone is going through something right now, and that's something that you're going through. If you feel it, is an emotion. That emotion can be something else. The important thing is to talk about it, right? And by talking about it and being, let's just say, vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
talking about it, then we can really get to the root of it. Is it seasonal depression, or is just this feeling of right now, or is something situational, or something has been going on for a couple of weeks? Something may have been going on since March, but again, I try to move away from diagnosis and those labels, because we started put people into fear of talking. So we want people to just talk. Let's just talk about how we're feeling. And then by how we're feeling, we can then connect to additional care and services that will help people. But seasonal affective disorder is very high during this time here in the north because of the cold weather and the isolation from the cold weather.
Yeah. And for you, talk to us about what your workload has been like, because normally during this time of year, we do have to deal with the holiday blues, people's feelings of loss, grief, and emotion. You couple that with what's happening with COVID-19, and we've got major issues.
We've seen over 400% increase in our workload here at the Scudder Intervention Services Foundation and the Suicide
Wow.
Institute. And a lot of that, my brother, to be honest with you, are just people who are just falling out. There are people on the far end who are not being heard, or no one is hearing how they're feeling about what they're going through, because they're afraid to express that. They're afraid to express how depressed they feel, the fear of going outside, the isolation, the impacts of the isolation, the grief of losing a loved one, the uncertainty of all that's going on. And now on top of that, we've seen in the past 2 weeks another heightened increase in just this whole thing around the vaccination. A lot of people are fearful of the vaccination. They still don't understand what this is, and if they have pre-existing conditions, how is that going to impact them in what they're already going through? So we've just been adding layers and layers and layers on top of pain people are hurting, but they're not getting enough outlet to talk about how they're feeling, what they're feeling, and not having that panic button pressed just because they've said they're feeling overwhelmed or feeling suicidal or feeling like, I don't want to live through this anymore because it's just too much. So we've seen since March 400% increase in our workload. But since December, since Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving, another uptick in that, because a lot of people were just not dealing with, not seeing their family or being with family or being the first holiday without a loved one that they've lost from COVID. So we're seeing constant growth every single day in people just reaching out, the cries that they're doing, the begging for just, I need someone to hear me, just to listen, not to judge me, not to label me. I mean, it's so heartbreaking that we're trying very hard to just keep the services going just to give people an outlet.
Well, give me an idea for people who want to get in touch with you and have somebody to talk to during this time. How do people go about that? Because, yeah, we want to also promote people getting help. So how can they go about utilizing the services that you have and you being that voice?
Yeah, so thank you. So we're a 24/7 service. We're local in New York City. In our work, we said there's no social distancing in suicide prevention, right? So we understand that when people are feeling these acute emotions of just hopelessness and helplessness, sometimes they really need human interaction. So we're available 24/7 by phone, and if needed, can come out and meet with someone if they're feeling that sense of overwhelm. 917-651-1889. We can talk with you or text with you, whichever one is comfortable for you. We get a lot of people texting us now because they just feel it's more convenient. Our website is sisfi.org, and we're on social media and all over the place just so we can interact and be reached by people who are feeling a sense of just needing to connect. And I just want to say this, ladies and gentlemen, people, it's okay to not feel okay right now. I myself, as someone who's working in this field, I've had nights I had breakdown crying. I have days I wake up, I don't want to get out of bed. I have days I just feel like, holy crap, when is this pandemic going to be over? So I'm being honest with you about me being vulnerable in a time where I've never experienced something like this, for you to realize that there are those of us who are providing services to you who are feeling the same way you're feeling. So don't be ashamed, don't be afraid. We're all in this together, and normalizing this conversation and being okay with being vulnerable is how we truly are going to make it through this safely, mentally, emotionally.
Brett, we got to leave it there, but thank you so much. I mean, the number that sticks out in my head, 400% increase in workload. So just know our thoughts and prayers continue to be with you as you do a good job of trying to hold others up, especially right now. Brett Scudder, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. And thank you for BronxNet for staying focused on this.
Yes, well, we want to continue to stay focused, and we want to continue to provide information for our viewers. If you want more information, I encourage you, visit their website, sisfi.org. Also, you can follow them on social media at SISFI. All right, we encourage you, don't go anywhere. We still have more show coming up. Open will return right after this. back to the show. New York Foundling is one of the city's oldest and largest child welfare agencies. Now, the organization is helping children, youth, and adults, as well as families that are in need, through services, supports, and advocacy, strengthening family and community, and helping each individual reach their full potential. New York's Foundling is providing carefully designed programs, effective and interrelated services, as well as opportunities for children, families, and adults to create transformational change in their very own lives. Joining us now to share a little bit more about New York Foundling, we are pleased to be joined by the president, Bill Baccaglini. And Bill, good to have you here on Open.
Hi, Daren. Nice to be with you. Thank you. Thank you for continuing to shed light on these very, very important issues in the Bronx.
Yeah, well, we want to talk about the Bronx and shed light because you guys are doing great work, and I use that word great. I don't want to just use the word great. I want to say incredible work because you're working with families, you're working with children, and in this time, it's a time that's really much needed. For somebody who is not familiar, first of all, give us a little bit of history into New York Foundling.
Okay, 1869, we just celebrated our 150th anniversary last year. We've grown to this point to be about a $220 million organization, about 3,000 staff, programs and offices in every borough in the city of New York. And we provide Head Start services to 1,500 families in Puerto Rico. In addition to that, we have a charter school in the Bronx. We consider the Bronx, actually, Darren, I have to be honest with you. The Bronx is our anchor. I mean, we've been in the Bronx longer than we've been anywhere else in the city. In addition to the child welfare side of the house, on the other side, we provide residential care to 500 developmentally disabled adults. So we go deep and we go wide, and you know, we love the kids and families of this city, and we won't rest until those in need get what they need to make their own lives better and tomorrow brighter than yesterday.
Well, now our viewers understand why I say you guys do incredible work. I mean, you're really boots on the ground, really touching the lives of people, child welfare, families, making it all happen. Talk to me about this now, because, you know, with the work that you do, there is a heavy impact due to COVID-19, right? And it's impacted everybody. But I want to get your perspective. Share with us a little bit about how COVID-19 has actually impacted the agency and your ability to actually deliver these much needed services.
Yeah, I'm very, very proud of the work that the staff have been able to do under very, very trying circumstances. But it's been, you know, it hasn't been easy. Let me start and let me focus on one of the programs that probably distinguishes us from a lot of the other agencies, and that's our charter school on Brown Place in Mott Haven. That's a school that was developed specifically for kids in the child welfare system. It's a pre-K through 8 school. There's 400 students, and those and their families. Again, this is a narrow slice of the pie. These are kids and families who've had formal contact with the child welfare system. So, COVID, as we know, the Black and Brown communities have disproportionately felt the impact of COVID, and the same has been true at our school. When school was closed, we made sure that we spoke to our families every day. We continued to provide, even though we're a school, we know the role we play in these kids and families' lives. We continue to provide food every day to these families. Now that we're in a remote educational journey, we still have families come to pick up food at the school because we know that they need it. I was just there last week with a grab-and-go lunch. Handing out food to families. So these are very, very trying times, but we consider Haven Academy on Brown Place to be a beacon in the community. So that's what we're doing from an educational community perspective. In addition, we have about 250 children in foster care in the Bronx. And, you know, foster care has been impacted by COVID because of visitation. Right? You couldn't put staff in harm's way. Foster parents didn't want strangers coming into the house. That sometimes kept kids from visiting their natural parents because foster parents might say, well, wait a second, we don't know what that home is like, and Johnny might come back and spread. So it's been complicated, Daren. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been complicated, but the foster parents have been fantastic. The kids, I'll tell you, the thing that we should celebrate about our young people is how resilient they've been. These are very, very complicated times, but these children are resilient. My worry is that when is the straw that breaks the back, right? How much more can we expect of our young people? So this light at the end of the tunnel needs to get brighter more quickly, because we have to get back to, quote unquote, a normal for our children.
Well, sometimes that light that you shine is the ability to give and give back, right, to your young people, to your families. I know that you have a holiday giving program that's been impacted as well. Just share with people like how much, I mean, it's sad in some sense, but yeah, go ahead, take it away.
Two things, I get emotional now actually sharing this. The two of the big events for us every year. One is our residential camp, Camp Felix, in partnership with the Felix Foundation, Daryl McDaniels from Run DMC. We're the only agency in the city that operates our own residential summer camp. So these children, these kids in the child welfare system have an opportunity to go upstate on a camp that we operate. We couldn't do it this year. That has hurt. In my 18 years, I didn't make a decision that impacted me more than having to say no to camp this year. We had a virtual camp and the kids loved it, but it wasn't the same. And then just last week at Haven Academy, we have Santa Frank and his elves for 25 years, have been coming and providing gifts to the kids in the gymnasium. The kids sit on the stage. Santa comes out of a closet. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And we couldn't do that this year. That was supposed to be last week. But Santa and his elves showed up and probably dropped off more than $15,000 in gifts and toys for the kids. And that will be given to families this week leading up to Christmas. Because damn it, we have to make sure these children and families get to experience the joy that I'm going to experience on Christmas. My daughter's going to experience on Christmas. These kids and families need to have that same experience. So holiday giving is important to us. Raising money in this climate is more complicated because you can't have galas. You can have a virtual gala, but it's not the same thing. And the competition for this for philanthropic dollars has only gotten greater. So
yeah, and that was going to lead to my last question. Talk to me, because for people who want to be able to support, right? I know that services are, being challenged and funds are limited these days. And after this pandemic, particularly in New York, being the epicenter of the coronavirus, there's going to be a crunch for funds. But what can people do to support New York Foundling in a time like this?
www.nyfoundling.org. Visit our website right there, and I have to almost apologize for this. I feel badly, but we have to do it. We're a not-for-profit. We lose a lot of money every year, and we have to raise money from good, generous New Yorkers to make the numbers work. So please visit our website. And I can assure you this. We have a very low administrative overhead. We make sure that the money that folks donate to us, we put back out on the street. So please, and you folks have been good to us through the years, and reaching out to folks in the community is important, and we're very, very appreciative of it.
Bill, that's all the time we have, but love you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time and being with us. Best wishes this holiday season, and we're gonna stay connected. And whatever we can do to, shine the light and help you out, consider us a partner.
Okay, I wish you and your family and your listeners a healthy, happy Christmas season and a good 2021.
Yeah, I think that's all that we can hope for during a time like this is a good 2021. Bill Baccaglini, our guest here on Open. Stay with us. We've got more, but please, as you said, go to his website, newyorkfoundling.org, and be able to support and help for a time like this. Kids, families, services, much needed and much impacted because of COVID-19. Take a quick break here on Open. We got more shows. Stay with us. Coming right back. Thank you.
We know that people are dealing with the health crisis, but there's also a lot of food insecurity.
We're giving out healthy food options, and that's what's key here.
If you're a senior, you have a disability, they'll actually deliver meals to you.
The residents are anxious, they're worried, they're scared, they want to be tested.
When things were happening in our community and we couldn't get the help.
There's almost a presumption of criminality that attaches to your skin color.
The site will prioritize those who are at highest risk in the population.
If you feel symptoms and you'd like to visit one of these COVID-19 testing sites here in the Bronx, you may call the State Health Department's hotline.
Important to note about this site is no reservations are needed. This is a walk-in clinic.
A lot of us are out of work and looking for something to do.
We have the machinery and the skills to make large scales of these masks and gowns.
Take care of your people. It's going to go way further than we actually can understand.
Right now, employees like myself are just adjusting to the new reality.
Reporting from Bronx.
Thank you for staying with us for almost 50 years. The Mount Pleasant Animal Shelter has been providing exceptional care for homeless animals, working tirelessly to find a permanent, loving home for every cat and dog that they serve. The holiday season can be a joyous time for many, but it also could be a dangerous time for pets. Joining us now to share a little bit more is Mount Pleasant Animal Shelter's Director of Outreach, Shania Spencer, and then Head Veterinarian, Dr. Mary Altomare. And we thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So, I don't think that sometimes people understand what we talk about in terms of a dangerous time, possibly for pets, like I said, the lead. Would you just take a few moments and just share with us when this season is about, what are some of the dangers that pet owners should be paying attention to?
So there's a lot of them, and I'm happy to share. One of the main things that we, tend to overlook sometimes are the decorations. So, the big one, of course, around this time is the Christmas tree. So the easiest thing to kind of protect from that is really just to have the Christmas tree in a completely separate room, maybe baby gated or doggy gated off from everything else. But if that's impossible, maybe you have a very large dog, maybe you have a cat that can sail right on over that and that's going to laugh at you while you do. The best thing is to really just doggy proof that Christmas tree. So you want any sort of ornaments, if you're using candy canes or glass ornaments, very much up towards the star where the dogs and cats can't get at it. And especially tinsel. Tinsel is a big thing that we see around the holidays. Those cats, especially like these guys, they love to go ahead and bat that tinsel. It's very shiny, and they can go ahead and ingest it, and it can be very detrimental to them, sometimes even needing surgery, right? So we want to make sure that the tinsel is just kept in the store where it's nice and pretty and nowhere near your animals.
Yeah. Shania, tell me a little bit more about the work that you do.
So I am the volunteer coordinator here. So I onboard all the volunteers and I train them on all the shelter duties that's needed for the shelter. And I also do outreach events where I can onboard more volunteers.
And so during this time, what about adopting a pet? How does that play? I mean, sometimes for families, they want to have that addition to their family, and pets are the way to go. Are we finding more and more people during the holidays do this?
Yes. Like we're always talking to people about adopting for kittens and puppies here at the shelter. Right.
Dr. Mary, come through with this one. When we talk about adopting a pet, right? Adopting a pet would be a wonderful thing, but we still deal with COVID-19, right? So there may be some questions on the part of family members about COVID-19, trying to navigate an adoption, and how safe is it? Your thoughts?
Well, I know personally at Mount Pleasant Animal Shelter, we do absolutely everything we can. We have temperature checks at the door. We have limited people in the building at one time. Obviously, we're all normally wearing masks. So we do, take precautions like that. But as far as choosing what animal would be wonderful for this time of year, since we are still in the pandemic, a lot of people are blessed to have a lot more time, at home, a lot more time with their family, which is wonderful. But, we also have to think about post-COVID-19 as well. So we might have lots and lots of time right now. Maybe we're just doing, Zoom meetings for our jobs and things like that, where we're able to care for a pet that's maybe high needs, but maybe come 6 months from now, everything might go back, hopefully, to a little bit more normal, where we're working 10-hour work days and things like that. And all of a sudden, we're not able to care for that pet like we were before. So my biggest advice is obviously, make sure the shelter that you're adopting from is, practicing COVID safe policies. But also when you're looking for that personality of the pet, make sure it matches, your lifestyle post COVID-19. So, you make sure you have time for everybody.
Yeah. What are we learning in COVID-19 in terms of, we've been limited, we've had social isolation. How does that pass on to pets? Are there any things that we can pinpoint to say, hey, pets are navigating through this well too, or is it a good season for them, in spite it may not be the best season for us?
Pets are living their best life, to be honest. They have their owners home all day long. What more can you ask for? They're getting all the love, all the attention, and a lot of people, like you were saying, they all of a sudden do have time and do have that space to kind of welcome new animals into their world. So, really, we're having animals fly off the shelves, so to speak. So it's really a wonderful time. The biggest thing would be almost animals getting a little too attached to their owners. So if they do have to go back to work soon, I think they might have a little bit of a hard time. So just making sure, they have their exercise and things like that still on board when you do happen to go back to work. Maybe some dog trainers and things like that come in to visit and make sure they're not too lonely. Or you can just get two, right?
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think when I go back and I'm back in the studio, the one that's here with me, he really is very clingy, so he will be having some issues. It is what it is. Shania, what can we do to make your job a little bit more easier? I guess the phone calls are flooding in, right?
Honestly, just come in and see the animals. That's really what can help us out. We're here to provide them the best care and to get them a loving home. So honestly, just keep doing it. Keep coming here, keep seeing the animals, and keep finding your forever pet.
Yeah. How hard is that process? For somebody who says, listen, this might be my first time wanting to get a pet, right? So they're going to come see you. When they come see you, what's that process like from the time they walk through the door to walking out with a pet?
Yeah, so first, due to COVID, our first protocol is you have to call the shelter to set up an appointment. So once you set up an appointment, you come in, you see the dogs, you see the cats, and if someone meets your eye that you'd like to meet, then you fill out a one-page application. You get to meet with an adoption counselor, and that's where they'll explain to you a little bit more about the animal and all their needs and any questions that you may need. You can ask them about being a first-time pet owner. They'll answer anything that you need. They'll let you meet with the animal, and then you guys can bond, and then if everything works out, then you're able to adopt.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for people who want to get in touch, what do they do?
So please go to our website, njshelter.org. That's where you can see our animals that we have currently up for adoption.
All righty. Well, Dr. Mary, we want to thank you so much for being with us. Shania, thank you so much for being with us as well. We are hoping that this season will be a pet safe and friendly season. And for both of you, I hope you guys enjoy the holiday.
Thank you. You too.
All righty. Well, I want you to stay connected to us. Now, if you want more information, please do not hesitate. I'm going to get that information for you right here. And it is, what you can do is visit them at their website, njshelter.org, and then follow them on Instagram at MP Animal Shelter. Once again, MP Animal Shelter. All right, we are taking a quick break. We've got more open. Stay with us. We're coming right back in a few. And welcome back to the show. Network security continues to be a major concern of computer professionals today. More than 209,000 cybersecurity jobs in the U.S. are unfilled, and postings are up 74% over the past 5 years. Now, this is a high-profile field, and the Bronx is underserved in regard to training and degree programs. But Bronx Community College proposed a degree opportunity to offer Bronx and Upper Manhattan students a local option in networking cybersecurity, all at a low cost. Here now to tell us a little bit more is the Director of Cybersecurity and Networking Technology Program at Bronx Community College. We're pleased to be joined by Dr. Rashid Zaidi, and then BCC student Cris Bernardo, who's a part of the Cybersecurity Program class of 2020. And glad to have you both here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Well, thank you. No, glad to have you. And Dr. Rashid, talk to us a little bit as we start off, a little bit about cybersecurity. We talk about the fact that, and I said in the intro, that, postings are up about 74%. But when it comes to cybersecurity in this high-tech era, it seems much needed.
That's correct, Daren. The latest cybersecurity 2019 report from Global Information Security Workforce Study, it says that at the moment in US, we have about 800,000 cybersecurity professionals. But 800,000 are not enough. We are shortage of about 500,000 more cybersecurity professionals to really fill in all the postings. So that's why this field is in high demand. And even US Labor Department says that by 2020, the number of cybersecurity posts, they're gonna increase by 37%. So we are trying to build a workforce in Bronx, and this is the first program in our city, University of New York, that is providing this cybersecurity and networking degree at this level.
Mm-hmm. And we know that Cris is a part of the program. And so, for Cris, talk to me about why you felt like you wanted to be involved in this particular program, particularly cybersecurity.
Oh, yes. Many of my family and family members and friends work in the healthcare, and one of the incidents that's been happening is like ransomware, which is a cyber attack toward health industry, and that was kind of I already like computers, and looking past beyond computers, I see that there's need of security. So that's why I took this. When I saw this program, I went in and took it.
Mm-hmm. And so, Dr. Zaidi, again, give us a little bit about what the program entails. When you talk about cybersecurity, what are students going to be abreast of by the time this class is over with?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, cybersecurity is a vast field. If we look at the cybersecurity, basically it should be, we have to, like, application security should be there, and we have information security, disaster recovery and continuity planning. We have to have operational security. So all of these things, we try to compress in our program, and we also take inform from the industry people. So we have we have a information advisory board from Microsoft. People from Microsoft are there, Nokia and Intel, and also the professors from the senior colleges. We involve them. They regularly inform us for the what should be the contents of the course. And the course were well designed and well thought. And we employ labs. All of these major courses, they have a lab component, and all of these labs, basically they're designed to the industry standards. And if they can get the certifications, if they go through all these courses, and the reverse is also possible. So any student who already has some of the certifications, we give them credit for these courses. So the good thing is, if any people, they are working in the industry for some time, they have some certifications, and they're gonna get the degree, so we can jumpstart with this. We can grant them some credits for these certifications. And we provide like boot camps for these certification. We train students during the summer and the winter, and we provide like free brochures and for these students.
Well, Cris, I see you over there shaking your head, and I guess you're agreeing with what the doctor said. Talk to us about your class experience and how valuable the information was for you that you have right now.
Yes, so I actually came in with a certification from CompTIA A+ and Network Plus, and automatically when I joined the program, I already have 6 credit. So it's very helpful for those who want to go back to college who are already working in the computer field. And also, like, I met students, classmates of mine, like the first few semester, they already received their certification and they're already working. So it's like it gives you the opportunity to get into the field while you're getting your degree. So it's really great.
So where do you plan on going from here? I mean, obviously you've got the education and you've got the skill set now. Talk to me about what your future plans are.
Yes, I'm planning to get my CCNA Cisco certification and go back for a bachelor degree, maybe City Tech.
Yeah. And Dr. Zaidi, talk to me about class size. I mean, is it a small class, big class? Talk to us about, because sometimes students are like, something like this, very, very mind regulating. Talk to us about how can we, the class size and what that looks like.
Yeah, the class size, we try to get it by about 22. And that's why we have all these computers and equipment available for that many size of students. Now, at the moment, since you know that because of the COVID-19, we are all the courses, they are virtual, and so then the class size may be a little bit more than that. So at the moment, we can have up to like 27 students. But in the regular class, when we are in physical, then we don't want to get more than 22 people in a particular class size. So I think that's 22 is good enough because we have all the computers available and equipment with that's suitable for that many students.
Yeah. And Doctor, also about right now, when we talk about cybersecurity, of course, we don't want to be too political, but then you hear about the Russians and hacking and this and that. You hear it on a more international perspective. But give us more about a local perspective about how important cybersecurity is today, locally, and even right now at a time such as this, the holidays, where a lot of people are potential targets.
That's correct, Daren. Yeah, cybersecurity, because every person is now affected with the cybersecurity. The problem is with the email, and there are a lot of attacks are going through the email system. So the people have to be careful. They're phishing emails, so they appear to be like a valid email. For example, they're coming from your bank, but they're basically not from your bank. I mean, they will put a logo of the bank, they will put the logo of whatever you trust. But when you open the email, make sure that you look at the address from where this email is coming from. So when you dig in detail, when you look at from where the message is coming from, although you see the logos and the messages which is embedded in the email, you see that's coming from nobody you don't know. So that's why be careful about all of these email. This is a big issue for all of the people, and many people they're affecting us. Even I mean in City University, they're trying to attack email every time, and then we try to block them these attacks.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you both for coming and being here on the show. And certainly we appreciate having you both. Cris, best wishes to you. Dr. Zaidi, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Daren.
Thank you so much.
All righty. And for more information, of course, you're encouraged to go to Bronx Community College and you can find out more information about this program and then some. We are taking a quick break. We do have more open. Stay with us. We'll return right after this. thank you for staying with us. Sheltering Arms is an organization aiming to foster a society where every child and family they serve will have the opportunity to succeed and thrive. They address the effects of social inequity in the most challenged communities in New York City. Their innovative programs and compassionate services also measurably enhance the education, well-being, and development of children, their families, as well as communities. Joining us now to share a little bit more is the CEO of Sheltering Arms, Elizabeth McCarthy. And Elizabeth, good to have you.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning, and thank you for being with us here. And so for somebody who doesn't know a little bit about Sheltering Arms, please give us a little bit more of a description of the work that you do.
Absolutely. So Sheltering Arms has been around for almost 200 years. We were founded in 1823. And it really, as you said, have tried to work in some of the communities that face the most challenges. So whether that is because new immigrants who are just arriving here fleeing a country from violence, or for families who for generations have been stuck in poverty due to things like systemic racism and lack of opportunity. So we've really been working in those communities to try to build, not only we have early education programs and after school programs, but to really address those traumas and the mental health that goes along with that, and really kind of be a resource for all needs that families have. So someone may come to us for an education program or because their child's involved in the juvenile justice system, but we want to help them address all the needs that their family may have to be able to help them move forward.
When we talk about mental health services, very important and it's critical to the work that you do. But I know COVID-19 has also had an impact on the work that you do, particularly in this area. Talk to us about how COVID-19 has had an impact.
Yeah, I mean, for better and for worse, interestingly, because while our mental health clinic opened in 2019 on 149th Street, now is seeing people in person again, but obviously wasn't for months. But we did really expand the telehealth that we do, and found that for some people, it actually worked better. Like a lot of our youth who really honestly don't want to sit in a therapist's office and talk to a therapist, a 17-year-old boy, but is more comfortable on his phone, opening up to somebody, talking to somebody, is always more likely to show up because there's not, a million things that can happen on the way to get there. So we actually, I think it will change the way we provide mental health going forward. Not that we will ever stop doing in-person work, because that's important, but for some families, for some young people, having the option of telehealth has actually really helped and expanded what we do. And for some of our teachers who, they can see the family more sometimes on Zoom than they necessarily see them if they're just dropping children off, and they can kind of pick up on mental health issues in the family and start to talk to those families about perhaps getting some help.
Yeah, that's interesting because most people say, well, COVID has impacted us in a negative way, but you're actually seeing some positive signs come out of this too, huh?
We are some. I mean, believe me, the devastation has been incredible, as you know, in all of the communities we work in. But we have seen some silver linings, and that's been nice. And we need those, right? So we kind of really have to hold on to those these days.
Yeah. And I mean, when we talk about what's going on right now, one of the other issues that we're facing right now is food insecurity. And I know that you guys are really boots on the ground in terms of helping to give some assistance for families and communities who've been affected by this. So a little bit about your work.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've always, at our early childhood programs, at our after school programs, seen families with food insecurity and have helped them, but it was a little more on a one-off basis. We knew families were struggling. We would, send the child home on a Friday with a backpack full of food, knowing that their family would need it for the weekend. But what we've seen in the past, 8 months is just a whole different level. The number of people who literally don't have food on their table if they don't get help from community organizations has been really devastating. So we work at Junior High School 22 in the Bronx, where we run the community school there. But we've taken the opportunity, we've actually partnered with a number of organizations. The Bronx Charismatic Prayer Fellowship is one that's been really helpful. And we run a food pantry there. And we've also done diaper drives and formula drives. And we've gotten donations of like hygiene products, because those are all things that when a family can barely pay the rent or put food on the table, trying to think they can, pay for diapers, pay for soap and toothpaste and those things, is just, those are really out of their reach. So it's something we want to keep doing. It's really expanded our work, and frankly, kind of goes back to the mental health. The more people we meet and have outreach and they get to know us and trust us in communities where trust is so important, it can help us help people in other ways as well after we get through the crisis, which hopefully we will get through the crisis.
Oh, we will. We believe sooner rather than later. I mean, that's the hope that we've been having. Talked to another guest earlier. We talked about having light at the end of the tunnel. because certainly we have been in this tunnel and we definitely need to see some light. I want to talk about another part of your work, a scope of your work, and that's early childhood services. Right there in the South Bronx, you guys are doing early childhood services. Talk to us about what you're seeing out there.
Yeah, so altogether, we have 9 sites altogether. We'll be expanding in July to even more sites, mostly in the northern Manhattan and the Bronx. We've seen our families have really stuck to it and tried to help their children get an education during this time, which is not easy. You have parents working, trying to figure out childcare, trying to get the technology they need. And so we've tried to help with all of that. Sometimes that meant, hand delivering iPads or laptops and hooking up Wi-Fi in people's homes. A lot of the families either don't speak English or are not at all computer literate, so really needed our help, even if they had the technology, just to sign on. And it's so important. Those early years, it's less about formal education that kids need, but they need the socialization. They need the exposure to language. And so we've really done a lot. Now we have a combination. Some kids come in person, some are doing remote, some do a hybrid. But even in the months where we couldn't do anything in person, really tried several times a day to check in with kids. It's hard with very young children because they don't want to sit and stare at a screen, and we don't really want them sitting staring at a screen. So it was often more about helping the parents. We'd send home packages of activities and things like art supplies and stuff so that a parent could see an activity on Zoom and then do it with their child and sort of become that child's teacher, which we know parents are anyway, but give them a little more formal help in that way. And I've never seen kids so excited as when they get on a Zoom and see their friends, or when they actually were able to come back in person. It's really just incredibly heartwarming. The kids were so happy to see each other, so happy to see their teachers. It's been really nice.
Yeah, this isolation has been, highly impactful for everybody, but particularly for children who really rely on socialization in order to make it. So to be able to socialize and see their friends, I'm sure had to be very impactful. We got a few seconds left, but before we move to I want to just fast forward to 2021. We're almost here, right? So talk to us about what you got planned for 2021.
Yeah, really trying to learn from, as I said, the silver linings that we did see during this. And so expanding a lot of the telehealth that we do. And not only telehealth, but we're doing more mental health out in the community. So if a family can't come to the clinic, we can go to them. We can now do mental health services. We have a clinic out in Far Rockaway. Also, one therapist told me taking walks on the boardwalk with the young teenagers is like the best setting for therapy for a lot of them. So really just trying to think more creatively about the work that we do and keeping to try to reach the community, and then the concrete needs. I don't think the food insecurity is going away in a hurry. I think you're right, we're going to get through this, but I think a lot of those needs are going to go on for a long time. So we're trying to figure out the partnerships we can get, volunteers, anyone who's interested in volunteering, I'll put in a little plug.
Yes, please quickly, yes.
It's been great to have so many people come to our food banks. Actually, our young people who are in foster care have been volunteering at our food bank. It's amazing to see this one group home we have with teenage boys who come and volunteer at the food bank. It's an amazing thing for both sides. But we'd love to have more, community involvement and really just keep that up and keep expanding our reach in the South Bronx and other communities.
Elizabeth McCarthy, we got to leave it there. Thank you so much for being with us, CEO of Sheltering Arms. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All righty. Well, I want to let you know that if you want more information, what you can do is visit their website. And their website is shelteringarmsnewyork.org. Once again, shelteringarmsnewyork.org. Well, we've come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. And if you missed any part of today's show, of course, you can catch the recablecast on Bronx. That's channel 67. And then we also have Optimum. You can catch us on channel 2133. Anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. And don't forget about all of our social media channels. I want to thank all of our viewers who've been watching on MNN, as Open is broadcast live simultaneously on the Manhattan Neighborhood Network channel. And so that about wraps it up for us here. If you want a brand new episode of Open, tune in on Friday. My girl, Rena Valentine, will be here bringing you all of the arts and entertainment. It's here on the set of Open. I'm Daren Jaime saying, take care, God bless, and have a happy holiday. We'll talk to you real soon.